First things first, how are you feeling?
Yeah, much better now. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest week, but to be fair, come game time, they just monitored me throughout the week, and they put no pressure on me, just to track how I was feeling. And as the days went by, and the more rest I could get, the better I felt. And by game day, I said I felt pretty much near enough, and if they were happy, then I was happy to give it a go.
Was it a matter of if it wasn't a final, you might not have played? Was it that close, or?
Potentially, I think obviously the situation of the game and what game it was probably did make a difference on the call, and I was pushing myself as hard as I could to try and get back in time. So yeah, it could have been different, but yeah, we just made the call on what we felt fit at the time.
You were pretty happy you ended up playing. Nice wicket in Steve Smith. Talk us through that catch. That was pretty special.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely finished the game thinking it was definitely worth it, putting myself through that. And I think going into the game, we'd a lot of questions about Steve Smith, and we just talked about doing what we do well and bowling to our plans, and that's all I tried to do to him. And then thankfully that day he chipped one back, and then it was just, I think you could see the delight in my face just to hold on to it.
What does it mean to yourself to play in a Big Bash final this week? You said when you signed that you didn't know where you were going to fit into the Scorchers bowling lineup. It was that strong, but here you are in the midst of a finals campaign.
Yeah, it's pretty fairy tale stuff for me. Yeah, I've always watched the Big Bash from back home and always dreamt of playing in it. So, let alone just getting the call out here, felt like enough and being a part of it. But now to actually be part of the BBL final is going to be something really special, and I'm just incredibly excited to walk out there, see what kind of crowd it is, and obviously we're all hoping for a packed house, and yeah, I think the whole event's going to be pretty special from start to finish.
What does the week look like for yourself? Have you trained with the rest of the team yet, or are you sort of quarantining away at the moment?
Yeah, I'm still kind of isolating myself from the boys just to be extra careful and make sure I don't pass it on to any of them. But we haven't done any real training as yet. They had a gym session yesterday, so I haven't missed a lot. And then we've got training tomorrow, which I'm fully planned to take a part of. And obviously, if that's still distance from the lads, that's how it's got to be at the moment. But no, I'll definitely be looking to be training tomorrow to be getting ready for Saturday.
Career-best figures as well in the last game. Do you think it's just time being here, getting a little bit more experience at Optus? Kind of talk me through how you sort of maybe hitting your straps at the right time.
Yeah, I think the nice thing for me about coming out here, I felt like no one really knew who I was, and it was a different challenge for me, whereas back home I put a lot more pressure on myself, and it's been really relaxed, and the group have been amazing with me. So actually I found something new out here for myself that works really well, and not having that pressure and just taking it game by game has seemed to work really well for me, and that's all I've been doing really. So I know that's something actually I think like I've learned that I want to take back with me to England, that my game, and the more relaxed I am, the better it seems to be.
After this, sort of what are your aspirations now that you've played sort of that one game for England in the ODI? Is that sort of on the horizon once you get back to sort of push for a little bit more of a permanent fixture in the English lineup?
Yeah, that's what I think back home. That's what I do put my pressure on a lot of, and always want to be striving to play for England, and that's always going to be the pinnacle for me. And I think that's the biggest learnings from out here, that actually when I've taken that pressure off myself and thought of myself as like the little fish out here that no one knows, then it seems to have helped my game. So I think when I go back now, I'm probably going to try and take that pressure off myself and try and not stress about England too much, and just do the best I can, and then if that call comes, fantastic. No, I don't. Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think I have a personal preference. As I say, I think I haven't played the Heat, and I know a good friend of mine, Sam Payne, plays for them, so it would be quite nice to meet him in the final. But no, not a huge preference. Just I think the biggest excitement is that it's at Optus, and that's the main thing.
How much prep do you do for those teams, considering how they're going to change, the Aussies going out and all that sort of stuff? How do you prep?
Actually, it's all very individual. I know the coach and the captain do a hell of a lot of prep. For me personally, that's another thing, is I've actually enjoyed the kind of naivety of not knowing too many players out here, and actually not doing any prep, and then it just means that I've only focused on what I do well, and I've got the ball at the top of mark, and I'm just focused on, let's say, trying to execute what I want to do. and it's another thing I think I've learned that I think has worked really well for me, that naivety seems to be bliss for me out here. And but I also know I do a lot of talking with AT out there, and he's done so much prep every game, and I know he knows every batter pretty much inside out. So I think every player just puts their trust in him, and if he has a plan that he specifically wants us to try and execute, then we'll always just try and do that.
And when you were cooked, did you under instructions not to shake hands and hug and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, me and Lance was still very much isolated from the group in a different change room inside, and trying to minimise contact as much as possible, just to try and prevent anyone else from getting it.
Was that the biggest crowd you've played in front of by a fair way?
I think so. I think I was sure. I don't know what Lords are. I had a packed house at Lords in 2015, and had some mostly sellouts in England ground like Headingley and Edgbaston and stuff. But I don't actually know capacities. But it felt like that was probably the biggest the other night.
And the cheer for the Smith wicket would have been nearly the loudest you've ever heard.
Yeah, well, me and Lance actually said that Dorf's first wicket in the first over really felt like the ground actually started shaking a little bit, that noise level. But then when I remember it being loud for Smith as well, and now watching the video back, you can hear it on that, and it was everything was pretty cool.
Does that give you an extra boost, especially when you weren't feeling 100%? Does that sort of help with your adrenaline and energy and that sort of thing?
Yeah, we kept saying that. We kept saying the adrenaline will get, come game time, part of the thing you do account for is that the adrenaline will kick in, and when you've got 40-odd thousand or whatever it was watching you, I think it does help, and it definitely helped me get through that game.
And the Scorchers have a history of bringing imports back for second and third year. Is that what you're hoping for, to maybe come back and play a full season next year?
If they offered me, I'd bite their hand off. That's obviously that would be the dream for me. But maybe we'll have a discussion at the end of the tournament. We'll see what happens. But certainly I've loved every minute here, and I would love to come back.
Your catch the other night was belted, but there have been one or two that have gone to ground amongst the team. How much of a focus do you think that will be heading into this match, that when the opportunities present, you've really got to take them?
Yeah, I think we know that the last couple of games it's actually been a bit out of character. I think we're probably not going to try and put too much focus on it, just acknowledge it, address it, probably do some fielding, the normal fielding we do at training tomorrow. You don't actually want to put too much pressure on it and highlight it, and kind of make the lads more nervous about it come Saturday. I think we all know when you drop one you don't mean to, and it's not been good enough the last couple of games, so it's something we'll make sure that we get right on Saturday.
One of the things with Scorchers is that often they don't go for those big name players, and that's often talked about. But getting you to sort of come over, was that something that you had kind of gone to them and say, I'm available, wanting to play, or did they sort of know you from, I guess, Adam Roger's county sort of experience?
Yeah, so I knew I was close to being drafted in the first place. I knew it was between me and Tamal in the initial draft, and my agent was very closely working with Adam and represents Ashton as well. So I knew conversation was there, and when it was Tamal picked over me, I still knew there were conversations being had about me coming out for the second half when Tamal had to go on to the UAE. So the whole time felt like I was really close. So actually when I got the call, it didn't feel like it was completely out of the blue. Now I say I've just done everything I can to try and convince them that if they want to go with a seamer again next year in the draft, then hopefully they wouldn't mind bringing me back.